Okay, we're back live. We're talking about the Browns defense with my man, All 22 Chalk Talk on Twitter. Jon Stephanson did a great job. One of the better defensive minds I've ever come across. That kind of blow smoke. He knows it. And you do a great job. He does a great job. Film room up at the OBR every week for our subscribers. We're doing a little free test this week, available to the public. Anybody can take a peek, watch this stuff. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this. We're going to talk about the Browns' performance. Only 6 points allowed. Some issues, the run game, we'll talk about those, but really strong red zone performance. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Let's talk. John, how are you doing, my man?
Doing great, Jake. Thanks for having me again.
Well, dude, let's talk about this fourth down play where they decided to, I thought they were going to kick a field goal. They come out and run this little swinging gate looking deal. Walk me through what the Giants are thinking, how the Browns defended it.
Yeah, so this is a lot of people call this swinging gate. Other people call it Emory and Henry. It's named after a small college that came up with the formation. So for me, whenever I see a group of three, so three distinct groups with offensive linemen in non-traditional spots like this, I call this Emory and Henry. So I guess the idea is we've got two things going on. Along the very bottom, you'll see we have a little screen and go with the offensive lineman there. So I believe it's 75. It's hard to see here, but looks like the idea here, the overall play design was to do one of two things. I should back up. So we have that screen and go at the bottom, and then we have that motion over here. Starting from the player on the 10-yard line, and it looks like maybe they're going to run some sort of like one of those power read pitches. Because if you look at the guard to that side, if you rewind back a little bit, he pulls and he shoots across, and the center. In fact, so I guess you'd call this the left guard right there. So he's going to pull like they're about to just pitch the ball to 88 there. Then the center, he releases like he's going to down block on the lineman there, and then he releases right up field. So I think they've got cheese here. They're trying to get someone to take the cheese one of two ways: either defender not catching the center on that down block and go, and then along the bottom you'll notice that I think it's 50. I'm sorry, the receiver on the line of scrimmage is hard to see, but you see how he waves his arm up. So they're trying to get the safety to that side, to get Redwine to shoot his eyes there, to keep him out of position and make a play on the center or on. I think
this is the long snapper right here.
Is that
50 something or another? He's got the hand warmer here. It's hard to tell. The film quality from Game Pass is getting worse and worse. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, they're trying to sneak this guy to the corner, see if they bite up on the screen. It's an easy throw. Shout out to Tavier Thomas, who does a good job defending it down here. You'll see here, like John was talking about, they try to sneak out the center, and BJ Goodson right here does a good job tracking it and fading to it right at the last second. Not that ball was going to be caught. You'll see from the end zone view, but a nice job of recognition. Really well played from the Browns collectively, right?
No, absolutely. You can tell that they knew exactly what they were supposed to do when the formation broke. They clearly had their check-in, and you can see everyone communicating, pointing, and gesturing. So just very good job, because this is something that they might see about once or twice a season. So
good start. All right, let's look at the second set of red zone schemes we have here. We'll talk about first play action.
First KJ play action.
All right. Browns very strong in the red zone, right? 3 trips for the Giants, no points. Or at least resulted, I think maybe one resulted in a field goal.
Yeah, field goal. One field goal there. Okay, so this is the first down play on their second red zone drive. And the reason I wanted to look at this play is because I think it's a great example of a route match out of cover 3 here versus this play action boot. So there are a couple of things here that you can start with the linebackers. We can go to the in fact, let's just start with the linebackers here. So looking at Carl Joseph here, he's playing he's a buzz defender. So
Carl Joseph here.
Yeah, top of the screen. So we'll call that a curl flat. Our 2 interior linebackers, these are going to be our hook defenders, or sometimes you'll hear a hook seam. See, along the bottom, we have another buzz defender. But the part I really like is let's go back and let's watch the inside linebackers at the snap. So, again, this is play action here. And when they're in Joe Woods base cover 3, these linebackers are taught to do something called robot, R-O-B-O-T, or I know Seattle used to call this punching out. I don't know if they still do, but the idea is what they want to do is they're taking their read steps. When they recognize play action, they're going to physically turn around and run towards their drop there. They don't have time to, to sink with square hips, eyes on the quarterback. They need to get where they're going. And what's going to happen is exactly what you see here. More times than not, they're going to run right into that over route that you get as part of a, pretty typical, boot concept coming over. So first we see
I think the linebacker position coach would love how almost in sync Malcolm Smith and Goodson are here, right? Watch this.
Yeah, it's read step 1, 2, pop, turn and find it.
Each other. Yeah, man, that's good stuff.
So between that, great route match from the interior guys. If we go back to the beginning, look at the cornerback and the safety in the bottom of the screen here. We see we've got a cut split from the number 1 there. He's pretty tight to the line. So you can see Ward communicating to Redwine over there that this route's coming his way. So they're going to do something called nailing down the route, which we'll see in our next example as well. In fact, a better example. But the idea is they're almost going to change roles. So Ward's going to continue rolling to the middle of the field, and Redwine's going to jump the that over. Although he didn't really jump it here. We'll see a better example later. But then going on to Carl Joseph. So there are a couple of really good things I like here. The first is the idea of a no cover zone. So in this defense, they're 5 yards and closer to the line of scrimmage is considered a no cover zone. So defenders they're coached to to keep a 5-yard cushion, to stay off routes until they get out of that no cover zone, because one of the base philosophies with this defense is they want to force the ball out short, then they want to make tackles. They want to vice tackle the ball carrier, get a guy on each hip here. So respecting the no cover zone does a couple things. As you can see, first, it encourages Colt McCoy to make a terrible throw, setting up Golden Tate. But the other thing that it really helps with is if this player, Golden Tate here again, were to just turn around and wheel upfield. So by not immediately, literally approaching and touching his hip when he's still on his route, Carl Joseph, he's putting himself in position where he can turn and run if that route wheels upfield. So yeah,
it's a great point. He's running with the hip the whole time.
Yeah. He holds the hip
that whole time. Yeah, you're teaching your guys as wide receivers, man. You feel them on your hip, and especially as you hit about 2 from the sideline, you're just teaching your guys, hey, man, turn it upfield. So that's why it's an effective concept there.
Yeah, and what would happen is, and if the player were to turn, there's a lot of coaches refer to that as taking the second man through. And in this case, though, again, Colt McCoy throws a terrible ball here. He completely set him up. But it's Golden Tate, and he's not an easy dude to get down. He's a little older now, but he's always had a lot of juice. So this is just a great open field tackle.
All right, let's jump to number 2.
Yeah. Okay, so this is.
And while we're doing that, Joel, I'll throw up your question. I don't know that it's anything that Mac has done, and this is just my answer. John, you can answer too. I don't think it's anything that Mac has done. Jacob Phillips is significantly better at right now. I don't think Jacob Phillips is very good where he currently sits on this day, but I think they're tired of Mac Wilson blowing assignments and missing tackles. And I think there's some saying. There's some, hey, you either wake up, man, and do what we want you to do the right way, or you're going to be benched for people we think are better, more athletic on the football field, and who are a little bit younger. That's just kind of where I'm at with it, John.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that the missed tackle on that touchdown was the straw that broke the camel's back last week. Exactly that. He's a young guy. They probably want to see what they have. If they don't feel like they're going to see much of a drop-off, between him and Wilson, then why not play the young cat and let him get some reps and see what he can do.
Agreed. All right, let's look at the second red zone example. This is a great play from Carl Joseph here, who is, I believe, right here.
Yep. So he's our strong side buzz defender here, and we're going to get another boot scheme. The really nice part here is catching the throwback here. So you can see from the beginning, they've got this close tight end on the right side of the offensive formation.
It's an unbelievable play.
That's just a great play. So several great things here. First, you can see let me back up. So looking at the buzz defender to his side, I believe that is Goodson, but again, I can't see the number there.
Right here?
Yep, just to the left.
That's Malcolm Smith. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to see that Malcolm Smith's late with his with punching out here. So you can see he takes his steps. He really bites hard. He row-butts, but at this point, that route's by him there. And again, this is where our no cover zone comes into play here. Why we need to follow that rule, because Joseph is a buzz defender. But because, again, he doesn't immediately approach that route, get right on the receiver's hip, he puts himself in position by, zone turning to keep his eyes inside, where he can see that the throwback route's coming from the tight end, and that allows him to sort of slough off the short route and sink and put himself in position to play through the hands. And and break that ball up. It's a great job reading the defender's eyes and playing through the pocket. Like you'll notice he's what we call out of phase, simply meaning that he's not close enough to touch the receiver's hip. So when you're in single high coverage, the ways in which you play a receiver when you're out of phase versus in phase when you can touch his hip, two completely different things. So when you're out of phase here, the big coaching points are you can't turn around and look for the ball. When you turn around, it takes your shoulder and your hips out of alignment. It slows you down even a little bit. And obviously, if the receiver already has separation, then you can't create more by your body position. So what you're going to do is you're just going to look at the receiver's eyes, and you're going to watch him track the ball, and his head will sort of turn, and his eyes will get really big when it gets close. And then when he throws his arms up, you just play right up through that pocket there, as Joseph does. So
it's amazing. He never sees this route. I mean, if you're focusing on Joseph, he's shuffling in. Eyes are on the back, leaking out. He's kind of you saw him peek his head right there. Kind of peeks his head. I don't know if we'll be able to get a look at it. He looks to the flat. What's that outside receiver doing? Possibly is he slanting into my sort of short view area here? And I'm pretty amazed. If we can get this to play right. How well he's able to get his head around and find the football here. Because actually, I take that back. I never find the football. He just plays the football as it arrives, which is coaching what you're talking about. The instincts here to turn, man, are wicked. This is one of the better Browns defensive plays I've seen all year. And I thought in real time it was amazing that he doesn't run into him. He literally plays through the football as I mean, that you could correct me if I'm wrong here, man. You coach defensive backs. That's like teach tape 101 right there.
Absolutely. That's exactly what you want to do when you're out of phase, when you can't touch the receiver's hips. Just read his eyes, play through the pocket.
Yeah, because 99 out of 100, that's probably juniors, but 90 out of 100 times this somehow gets turned into a pass interference call. It just guys panic and don't time it up just right. And I know that we can't get a great, but right here we could probably get a good view of just how if it'll play. YouTube's being a little funky. We're having no luck with film the last two sessions.
No, we are. I'm nowhere to go but up though.
It's okay. We'll keep going. We'll look at the next one. We'll put that up on our Twitter feed. That was a hell of a play.
That was third. We want third ward. Okay, so this is the third down play. Same series here. So this coverage could be one of two things. I'm not entirely sure which. This is either going to be cover 3 with weak side rotation from the safety at the top of the screen, or this is going to be a cover 4 trips check called solo or poach. So it really could be either. I think this might be cover 4 simply because when we get 3-by-1, so we're 3 receivers stronger to the bottom of the screen with 1 weak, when the Browns go into their cover 3 check, the cornerback at the top usually still plays a deep third. So he's zone turning rather than man turn, as we see here. So when Woods goes to this cover 4 solo check, generally the cornerback plays press man. So I think this is a cover 4, but don't hold me to it. It's one of those times where it could be both. It has characteristics of both. But again, welcome back, Denzel Ward. So several good things with with this technique here. Again, this is man press coverage, and when I'm looking at DBs, trying to evaluate and how they play, two big things I'm looking for: staying in what I call their power position, and also the ability to hold what's called positional maintenance. So going back to the wide view, if we want to look at his power position, that just means his eyes and nose rovers toe, his butt's down low. He's in an athletic position, ready to go. So when he pedals out here, taking his inch steps, one thing that he has to ensure that he does is not cross his feet over. So the feet just never cross. If you need to move laterally or side to side, you want to make it like a slide. And that keeps your body in ideal position to open your hips either way. So just taking these inch steps and keeping the hips relatively square, that goes a long way to stay on top of the route. So the second big thing I like here is he stays in phase, and so he's holding the receiver's high inside shoulder, and he squeezes the route. You'll see when he makes contact, he makes physical. I should say when they get about halfway down. Let's go to the Y view again.
You get YouTube to work. Here we go.
I know everything's acting up for us here. So I want to say it's around maybe the 12, maybe the 15-yard line. You just pause it. I'll tell you when here. Yeah, right about there. Yeah, so we can see that Ward used his inside arm to to physically push the receiver's shoulder, and the great thing here is he's riding him out of bounds. Cornerbacks are taught when you're playing that outside release, you want to squeeze the receiver by getting on his hip. You want to make physical contact. You literally want to use your body to steer him to the sideline to push him. And what that does is it prevents the receiver from getting separation because you stay in contact, and it also cuts down the area in which the quarterback can drop in that ball there. And as you can see from here, the ball's going to end up out of bounds. And Ward's in phenomenal position. This is in phase. So you'll see he's peeking throughout the route, but he can get away with that because he's on top of him. He's just the receiver has no chance of stacking if he didn't come close.
Boy, this thing's struggling. There we go. Maybe.
Maybe. Yikes.
Right from the beginning. Yeah, man. This is great. Yeah, great stuff from Ward here. I mean, especially tight areas down here where things get condensed and offenses will just bank on a flag being thrown sometimes, which is what is so frustrating.
And that's exactly how you want that squeeze to look in terms of forcing the receiver to the sideline and just shutting down that window in which or where the quarterback can drop the ball. This play was dead from the get-go.
See if we can get a better end zone view here.
Yeah, I might be able to see him playing the ball. Yeah, it's looking, but that has no chance.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, let's backtrack. Which one do you want next?
Let's go
third
to
red zone?
the third red zone. How about first down route match?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is going to be another cover 3 route match. And on the first play from Carl Joseph, we talked a little bit about the free safety and the cornerback exchanging duties to nail down an over route. So we get a great example of it here with the cornerback at the top of the screen and the safety. You're going to see as the receiver breaks inside, the cornerback passes him off. There'd be some sort of verbal check here coming along, and you see the safety. See how he cuts it or nails it down there. He's gonna approach it hard there, and notice the cornerback rolls to the middle of the field. So now he's replacing him as the post safety. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. So let's see here. Again, go back to the beginning. You're going to see our hook defenders punch out a robot. They both do a pretty good job at that. And again, so now returning, run it on. Yep. And we're going to see Carl Joseph does 2 really good things here. Again, he's a buzz defender, so he's playing, curl flat. Yep, got him circled right there. First, he can see he recognizes it pretty quick. Not as quick as you'd like, but he gets back in position quickly enough. But as you run through the play, you're going to notice that because he gets his width again, he actually gets in the throwing window from that over route coming over. And again, you can really see it once we get to the tight view. So McCoy does escape the pocket, and he is close enough to run him out and limit it to like 3-4 yards. But the really nice thing I saw here, the first thing I noticed was just the way in which his body position took away that throw that McCoy wanted to make just as he broke the pocket. And we'll get a really good view at it here. So it needs to be a little quicker with the recognition. See if we can catch the receiver at the bottom. Oh, there we go. So he's a little ahead of him now. At that point, he's crossed the line of scrimmage and he's going. So again, that's 4 yards. We'll take it.
It's perfectly done. Great pass off, and you got Joseph playing that buzz really well there, man.
So our this will be our second down play. So this is going to be another good route match. This is a defense that I call a red 2. So this is going to be essentially a Tampa 2 that's modified for red zone coverage. So there are a couple of differences that we're playing with 2 high safeties. Our Mike linebacker is open into the number 3. He's playing sort of the deep hole. The big difference is that our corners, if they get a vertical route, they're going to carry it all the way through. So in a normal Tampa 2, they're flat corners. They're going to reroute and then they're going to zone turn, keep their eyes on the quarterback, and they're going to let the safeties handle the vertical stuff. So with this, the corners are going to sink if they get verticals as well. And again, they're just really good route matches all around. Going back to the beginning of the play, if you start with the routes to the top of the screen to the 3-by-1 strong, you're going to see our seam defender to this side. He does a really good job of forcing the number 2 to get really wide, almost to the top of the numbers. Yeah, see how wide he forces them there? So that gives our safety time to, to read and get there, and it just cuts down the area in which someone like Baker Mayfield, can work that seam throw there. So just forcing that extra width, keeping him out of the seam. That's great stuff. Going back, if you watch Goodson from the Mike position, he's going to open and relate to the number 3 receiver. So we're counting receivers from outside the end. So 1 to 2 to 3. Their numbers can change based on the releases. At the snap, he's going to open to, I think it's going to be, the number 2 becomes number 3. So we're going to see that he opens. He physically reroutes him. He would continue sinking if he needed to. But then as he crosses, he passes that off because he can see he has the receiver from the single receiver side. He's coming in. He's now the new 3. He's replacing. And because we have a safety to that side, Goodson knows that he can pass that off. He can relate because Karl Joseph's standing up top here with nothing to do. And in fact, you'll see again beginning of the play, as soon as number 1 releases inside from this cut split, Joseph immediately flips his eyes over to the strong side because he's expecting something to come back. So we get that little, it sort of gives a little help there on Olivia Vernon. As soon as he chips, see eyes back to the number 3, picks it up. Get a little bit of a scramble here. It got hairy for a second, but this is a spot where, frankly, Cleveland's blown this coverage. In fact, they blew this exact coverage for the first touchdown against the Ravens, Week 1. They were in red 2, and they tried to pass route, or someone chased the route. I can't remember who it was. Might have been, it was either Sendejo or Joseph, one of the two.
It was Sendejo. Ran right out. They hit Mark Andrews in the back of the end zone.
Yeah. So blew the match there. So it's good to see that, particularly in the red zone, they're tightening up and they're not giving opposing offenses these freebies that, they've been given for 11, 12 games now. So moving on, this is the 4th down play. So this is just a basic inside zone.
This too, I should give it some context. This 4th down stop, it's only 7-3 at this point in the second quarter with 5 and some change. Browns get a stop here that the Browns then go 95 yards on 12 plays. So it's 13-3 at half. So this is a huge stop. So let's get a good view from the end zone here. Talk about it.
Yeah, this is the one. So this is inside zone left with a backside read from the quarterback. He can pull if the man dips in. So I was reading an article that the OBR Godfather, Fred Greetham, posted today about Karl Joseph, and he had some quotes about this specific play. Joseph was saying that during the week they'd practiced against this exact formation and play, and they were also on the perfect play call. So what I think the perfect play call is we see these guys towards the strength, the bottom of the screen. We see all these defenders. So what they do is it looks like they each jam inside one gap. So that gives them a running start, to, as you can see, shoot in a gap and just takes them right into to where it's going. So when we go back to our tight view, you see 2 good things. First, you'll see Joseph shoot in that gap. And then we're going to see Sheldon Richardson. He's playing I guess you call it a 2-eye, a 1. We'll call it a 1 technique, close enough. But you're going to see he wins inside hands against his blocker. So against the left guard, see how his hands are inside, and then he extends them out or he presses them out, and that's what keeps him in position to shed. He does a really good job squeezing the air out of that gap, and he keeps his inside arm free, and that's what allows him to make contact with the running back as he goes through. So Joseph makes first contact as he shoots here. He does trip him up, and then again, going back to the tight view, you're going to see Richardson just as soon as he wins those inside hands, so his hands inside the blocker's hands, he grips the chest plate, and then he just bench presses them right out. And that's what doesn't allow the blocker to sort of reset his hands and stick back on him here. And then, of course, Redwine comes in late. He stops the forward progress. That was vital as well. I don't know if Redwine doesn't clean this up, if he doesn't get enough for the first down. I believe it was 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. But just, coming in, sticking his nose in physically as he does, that that might have been enough to stop it.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it's half yard, man. So it was it's a great effort, great call, great timing. It was good to hear Karl Joseph talk about that too, because that's one we wanted to hit. Which one you want to hit, Afiz?
Let's go to duo home fits.
All right.
So this play is a bit of an extension of what we talked about last week. We talked a little bit about Joe Woods' defense and how he wants to fit the run out of out of his essentially his base single high, his cover 3, his cover 1, and the idea is something we call gapped out, which simply means we have a defender available for each gap. This is important because the way in which you fit the run very different when you're in 1 high versus what you're going to do when you're in 2 high. And we did look at some examples last week of issues we had with those 2 high run fits. So, I chose this play to start because this is just a really, well, if it ever decides to open here, this is just a really good example of we don't have any pullers. So everyone's in their home gap or home fit. Nothing's changing. It's, but again, we're single high, we're gapped out. If we can, we'll try and go to the tight view.
We'll get there. It's not letting me fast forward. So
okay, so when we get to our tight view, we'll get going here. But there are again, there are a couple of good plays here, and I should note that overall, I thought the defense did pretty good on their run fits, aside from that counter play. So they got hit by a couple of draws. I mean, that happens. Whatever, teams draw them because of Myles Garrett. That's just charging to the game. Whatever. But yeah, it was just the counterplay we'll look at next. So again, we can see we have could you pause it, please?
Yes, sir.
So if you want, you can trace it out here. Once I figure out how to use StreamYard myself, I'll draw it up here. But we have 1 gap, 1 player whole way through.
Let's do this. Hold on. We'll get it.
Okay.
We can get her here.
Again, so this is what we mean when we say gapped out here. 1 gap, 1 player. And again, it's understanding whether you're gapped out or not is important because it's got to align with the number of safeties you have. You can only play gapped out against when you're in 1 high. Can't do it in 2 high.
All right, so where are we going? You tell me what you want.
Let's just start from the right side here. Let's just start drawing gaps. So let's just get a line. Let's get Garrett. Just a little line going to the C gap.
Well, we might not be able to.
Oh man, we are.
There we go. We're going down.
There it is.
All right.
Okay, and then we got 1 more gap to the Okay, so now if we count up our players here, you'll see going from right to left, we have C gap, B gap, A gap, Mike playing the A, DT playing the B, Jacob Phillips playing the C. OV is going to slip in, I believe. I don't remember if they moved spots or not. Either Carl or Joseph or Vernon are going to take the C, and then we have a cornerback outside to play that final there. So, moral of the story, we're gapped out, we're single high. The Giants are running a play called a duo. So it's 2 double teams. The tailback's going to read the Mike's flow. If the Mike gets downhill, the running back's going to bounce it outside. If the Mike bounces or doesn't hit his A gap, then the tailback's going to hit it right up the middle. It takes a second. It's like we'll see how far.
For some reason tonight, it won't let me play stop and start unless it's at the beginning. So this is what we get.
Yeah, we'll do the best we can here. We'll get the tight view and point out a couple of things, and we'll play it through. So 3 very good things here. First, Myles Garrett on the strong side or on the weak side. Pardon me. You're going to see him attack the tackle, squeeze the air out of his gap. So he's going to win inside hands. He's going to press him out, and you're going to see that the B gap stays really narrow, and as Taki hits it, it's literally just as wide as Taki's shoulder pad, and that's what puts him in such great position to make the play. It doesn't help that the left guard and center they're not going to double team and come off to him here. So look at Garrett right now. Just think about where he started versus where he's going. As soon as he's already won inside hands, he's going to press this guy out, and you're going to see the gap actually get smaller. Yeah, see how he's got him back on his heels there? You can see the size of the gap. Like Taki just fits in there perfectly. And this is important because what will happen with many ends is they'll technically they're contained players, so they'll fulfill their duty in that the ball doesn't bounce outside, but they'll also let themselves get pushed. They'll push several yards sometimes from where they started. So what that does is it takes that B gap and it makes it huge. It makes a massive seam for the tailback to hit, and you got to help your linebacker out. They can't fit a running back on full speed, with a 5 yard, essentially a 5 yard seam, a 5 yard gap. They got to squeeze the air out or constrict it. And again, because the guard center, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if they blew something, but that's just too easy for Taki, especially as downhill as he is. Goodson read it very quickly as well. He read that base block from the right guard there, and then he's just going to shoot. Yeah, there you go. See how quickly he gets in there, beats that block.
Yeah, very, very active Mike and Sam there, man.
Yeah, just swarm at that point. Yeah, so that's we saw a lot of that stuff against the base runs against basically anything that wasn't this counterplay. Why don't you go on to good spill? Okay, so this is going to be a split zone play. This is not the counterplay, but I want to show this because we see a good example of what's called a spill, which will be important in just a second when we look at some of the issues the team had. So the idea behind this is when a DN sees the tackle across from the tackler tight end, when that guy blocks down, what he wants to do is step inside. Some people call it a block down, step down roll. So gonna go parallel, gonna try and get your hand on his hips to disrupt him because he's going towards a linebacker. Obi doesn't, but I think that's probably okay. And then he's gonna get his eyes inside. He's gonna look for this block coming his way. So this is I call this a slice block from the tight end. But what he wants to do is attack this with the proper leverage. If we can get to our tight view, we'll see that that the linebacker to that, or check that, Joseph to this side, he's expecting Vernon to spill this, and as a result, his technique aligns with what's going on. So right now, Vernon's a C gap defender, and okay, we got something called yanking the chain. They're adjusting the motion. Don't worry about that. Yeah, so that motion brings Carl Joseph into the box here. He's the B gap defender. But when we see the tackle and the guard here go down on the 3 technique and Obi inside, he's assuming that Obi's going to attack this block with his inside shoulder. So the defender's inside shoulder on the blocker's outside shoulder, like that. And the idea is we have the second level defender, again, Joseph in this case, that's going to now replace him outside as the contained defender. So it's like, again, you're adjusting your responsibilities based on based on the type of block and the type of play you see here. And yeah, so again, this is what it should look like when we see him coming all the way down here. Nice physical approach here. You're going to see he stones him. And his body's in position where, if the tailback does cut it back inside, as he does here, he can make the tackle. 2, all his help's inside here. And you'll see Joseph, he's taking this outside track now, or that outside path, again, because he's assuming the ball is going to come out to him. So this is going to be important when we look at the counterplay. Let's go on to that. Okay. Let's try no spill. Okay, so this is a pretty cool concept New York used. I haven't seen anything like this in a long time. So they ran this play where they added a tight end and a wing, and then they pulled the guard, as we'll see in a moment with the tight view. They pulled the guard and they pulled the wing. So normally when you get counter, you get like a GT counter like we looked at last week, where the guard and the tackle pull. Or with a tight end, often you'll see the guard and the tight end pull. But New York takes this to an all new level, and they pull their guard and they pull this wing all the way out here. So I think the Browns had issues with with the backside linebackers. I think they had issues reading their keys here. And with this first play, again, this is single high, so we're gapped out, 1 player, 1 gap. Because we have 2 pulls, we have to match these moving gaps here. And again, based on what I see, you see the linebacker and Joseph at the top of the screen. Again, they look like they're expecting to, this block or this ball is going to be spilled. In fact, from the tight view, you really see it. As soon as they see the down block, now they got to reset. As soon as 75 matches down on the 3 technique there, you're going to see Joseph and Taki just fly outside again. So down. So now he's trying to close. I'm thinking he's supposed to probably spill this. You can see with the way Carl Joseph reacts here, it looks like he's expecting the ball to be pushed outside. Taki's going to fit on the outside shoulder of the first puller coming through. I'm sorry, the second puller, although he gets picked off. Goodson's trying to fit on the inside shoulder, and it looks like Jacob Phillips just gets picked off here. He looks like he's very slow reading. and that kind of creates the cutback lane. So I think again, and I always got to say that without the play call in front of us, it's impossible to say for sure. But I think that Ogunjobi, once they get this this gap scheme, is supposed to gain a gap here, and by gain a gap, I mean once he feels that down block, I think he's probably supposed to fight back across his face towards the play. Because we've got, again, two moving gaps. So we have to find a way to match them. We can't guarantee that the linebacker's going to get there. So, yeah, watch them over as they two there. So I think, and I should say the one technique and the three technique, I think both of them are probably supposed to push back over, but it just doesn't happen. And I think, again, the ball hits right off of where Ogunjobi should be if he were to gain a gap back. And it looks like Richardson as well. He just kind of gets himself like sucked inside. He's following the back's flow. Yeah, right here you see him.
I think Miles is too high on this one.
Yeah, I do. I think he probably wants to come down flatter as well, flatter down the line. Yeah, but his pad level isn't great there. Definitely. But I think really, look at two reasons this play broke down. Really, they were fitting like to the play side. They're fitting like the ball's going to be spilled. Backside, Richardson lets himself by falling the back. He gets himself out of his gap, and I think Ogunjobi probably should have gained the gap back. All that would have helped. All those would have eliminated the the cutback lane that he hits there. And it doesn't help that that Phillips got pardon me. It doesn't help that Phillips let himself get picked off too. He was slow reading. So this is the second play. It looks kind of similar. We see a big seam there. So this is same concept. We've got this guard wing pull. Again, this is single high. They're gapped out. I think there might have been a little game on here between the three technique and the mic. A little one gap exchange, just to play with their blocking rolls. So it gets moving along. Come on. Yeah, we're going to see 90. I think he's shooting into the A gap here. His steps look like he's slanting inside. So again, I think that our issue here is we're expecting this ball to be spilled. Again, Miles gets too deep in the backfield. He isn't flat enough in order to spill that first block coming out. And you'll see that the Carl Joseph again to that side. He by his body position and the way he reacts, it looks like he expects the ball to come outside. So ideally, Miles would, in fact, he'd trade 2 for 1 here. He'd attack that first block and create a pile up or submarine, so they can gain their numbers back. And again, watch Joseph up top here. See. Look at Taki as well, fitting outside. They think that they're expecting this ball to be to be spilled. I think that's the big issue again. Now I think that Ogunjobi again needs to gain a gap back. Well, this is a pain in the isn't it? Not being able to stop it.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, again, we said we got nowhere to go but up. Whew. Yeah, so I think just focus on Miles here, left side. Again, Taki and Goodson are fitting like they expect this ball to be spilled outside. Because it isn't. That's your seam right there. It's without knowing the exact play call, the exact structure, and what they're telling these guys to do. That's, at least in my eyes, that's probably most likely. And honestly, this is a really nice scheme against a team like not Cleveland, because guys like Miles and Vernon to a lesser extent, with their get off, they tend to get deep in the backfield, too deep in the backfield at times. So it's just when it comes down to redirecting, you can get them on that and the draw plays. So this was another little bonus clip of Carl Joseph here. So this looks like This is a third down play. We're in man coverage. I like this play for two reasons. First, because Joseph makes a play on the ball, and second, I think it's a really good example of leverage, and by leverage, simply meaning sort of positioning on the receivers based on where the defender's help is at. So it looks like they have some sort of double team going to the top here. You'll see Redwine is shaded really far over here, and it almost looks like you can see the corner to this side. He's playing this to his help, I should say. So what he wants to do is stay outside and low on this receiver because he has high inside help. That's why we get that little goofy zone turn right there where he turns in. So they're just trying to create a funnel between the two of them. Going to the strength, it looks like we have a green dog on here. So Malcolm Smith has a green light to blitz as long as the tailback doesn't release. If the tailback does release into a route, then he's going to peel off and take them. And then we get a low hole dropper from the Goodson here. So going back to the start, look at Carl Joseph's leverage over the number 3 here. You see how far outside he is right here. So we get a couple things here. First, this is just good disguise. We can make this look like a Tampa 2, for example. But second, think about where his help is. So we have Goodson playing low and inside. So again, Joseph's going to play high and outside, and we're going to create sort of a funnel, or it's just a funnel. It's a high-low. It's an in and out on the receiver here. So when the ball comes out, Joseph isn't going to win any awards for his transitions. And in fact, if once we get through here, we'll go back to the tight view, and you'll see that he's playing off man and he's crossing his feet. That's a no-no. He needs to stay in his power position and just step, replace, step, replace, step, replace. It's more like a slide. We'll see here in a second. And that, so you're going to see he's going to cross over his feet here. That's going to get him in trouble when the receiver stems him one way or the other, where he starts his path in one direction and then he breaks to another direction. He's going to get his feet crossed up. He's not going to be able to turn in transition. But he gets away with it here. But this is a pretty good break. And this is where Joseph's this is where he's okay. He can play some zone down low. He can play a little bit of man as long as it's a tight end. You don't want to match it up with a slot receiver often. That's not going to turn out well. But again, this is just a hell of a night. I think he had 10 tackles, had a couple of TFLs, key part of that fourth down stop, and you rarely see him making plays in coverage. Frankly, this doesn't happen very often. So
yeah, it's good for him, man. I think he needed a game like this, and you're right. It played to his strengths. He's a guy teams can pick on a little bit in certain situations, but kudos to him. Hell of a night. I mean, finding the football down there in the the red zone and the end zone was phenomenal play, and just kind of worked in his favor with what the Giants threw at him. So good stuff overall, John. We're going to keep getting better at this, guys. I promise. We'll have the film a little bit more coherent as we go each time. But this is good. We'll continue to tweak this and try to look at the most important plays from the game, what happened, why they happened. So good stuff. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate you guys joining us, John. Thanks for everything, my friend.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and thanks for bearing with us, y'all.